I'm guessing too much like Space Ninja on this one. Anyway. Hey everybody, what's up? This is Retrokid Reviews. If you've seen this week's video with the movies list, you are going to see now the TV playlist. So let's get this out of the way. First and foremost, happy 2025. Those will probably be out on New Year's Day, so yay! Who really knows? The year's still young, hopefully. That being said, let's get to the continuing adventures of this list. Starting off with best shows for TV. Not really much of an intro here. TV in general was actually harder to find on the worst than it is on the best. So I think even Space Ninja said it himself for his movies and TV lists. Go to his channel like usual. So yeah, let's just kick it off with the I believe honorable mentions. Let's start with Secret Level and Arcane. Both video game titles. I actually seen some episodes of Secret Level. I think the Mega Man level, not the Warhammer level, but definitely the D&D level and Sifu. I'm still working my way through most of that most of that season, and for a bunch of collages of video game properties and stuff like that. It's actually pretty fun, very interesting for some of the franchises you grew up with or played along over the last 10 years. You get a better feeling for it. I've heard nothing but good news for the Armor Core level with, Armor Core episode with Keanu Reeves. Turns out that was a very big tearjerker for the mecha scene, so I'll figure that out as time goes on. And no, I did not see the Concord episode. I am very much aware of how it got Astro Turf canceled by Sony of all people and PlayStation as a whole. Happy 30 years to that to their company, by the way, come next year. New Year wise as of this recording. That being said, yeah, I'm noping out on Arcane mainly because I do not have a lot of League knowledge as far as League of Legends goes, but I've heard nothing but good news, and Jinx's voice actor is absolutely going to be in the list, starting off for my last honorable mention, Fallout. Yeah, nah, I'm kidding. Let me see if I can rewrite this list off the top of my head. Okay, we'll put it. All right, I got it. I'm already making changes on the day, in case you could tell. So, for number 5, for now going into the best TV shows of the year. Yeah, is definitely The Penguin. I've already said a lot in my TV rundowns. I think my full review when I was starting out, but I'll say it here. Colin Farrell did a great job being Oscob version of Penguin, and messy hair aside that I just fixed on cam. Awesome. It's essentially a really good origin of a little bit of his backstory by the end of the season, and that he was always ruthless from the start. The No Man's Land inspirations going into Gotham was really cool. And the less say about that Vic finale, the better, because yeah, it was very heart-wrenching in the right ways for that character. So really cool, really nice. For number 5. Going into number 4, absolutely I'm going to put Critical Role here for Legend of Vox Machina Season 3. Big swings were made in that season. I think I mentioned it also in my, I think, rundowns as well for those seasons. Sorry, for that season. And, yeah, there was some original stuff that was made for the show to be a little different from the actual play. I think this was always been the case. Especially Percy's death, and then Resurrection was a little bit out of order than it was in the original campaign. That was where there was the most contention in the fandom. I don't know how many more arcs left they have. Again, I have not watched all of Campaign 1 proper before they got readapted into animation. So with that being said, speaking of, the animation is a lot tighter than usual. The new opening, I guess I could card that because I think I didn't do full reviews for the finale, is actually very fun, very engaging. It does give you an idea of the stakes going in. I doubt that they'll do a new opening every season, but given that they're probably almost going to go back to certain finale arcs, if I remember correctly, on the highlights, might be coming up pretty sooner than it looks. That also being said, if this is also out in 2025, happy 10 years to Critical Role. They're just getting somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, on to my number 3. Yeah, screw it. Terminator Zero and Fallout. They are basically replacing in this list The Boys season 4, mainly because I didn't finish the season, and it is a strong ending from what I've heard going into the series, to the final season for the series. Good news there. I'm stuttering. Can you tell I just woke up? My apologies. And yeah, Terminator Zero. I'm gonna fight for more or less. Outside of my honorable mentions, mainly because I liked the ending. It was a good play on Skydance's years of the time travel being BS for them as usual. So much so I might use Cable if they get a season 2 to be a lore explainer for what's going on there in a Cable kind of sense. I don't know, more or less. But yeah, for Boy Season 4, for what I saw, it was very political driven, given that it was the election this year, and Homelander winning in the end. What I've heard from the highlights, again, is very much what they had to line up to with the Dynamite Comics lore in general, so it's kind of basically there. Speaking of better superhero stuff, the top two for the year, Invincible Season 2 Part 2, aka the back half that got delayed due to the writer's strike last year, is strong. It's still nothing really much for him to write about other than it is still Mark trying to figure stuff out after the original season and finding out he has a brother and everything. Again, all the stuff that you've Invisible fans have basically found out reading the comics over years. It's still lined up. It's still pretty good. Nolan this time around is a little more self-reflective. J.K. Simmons did a better job for this than I think he did for Red 1. Yes, I'm trying to bring that Santa movie up here in the cards. Sorry for those who probably had to watch it in theaters. But yeah, no, everyone's firing on all cylinders like usual. I absolutely loved the trailer fodder they have so far for season 3. Cannot wait to get back to that series anytime soon. And yeah, not for nothing, but Stephen Young is still doing a definitive version of Mark as far as being Invincible goes. And yeah, I cannot wait to see what story arcs from the original comic they can do next in season 3. So, number one, no surprise here. This will probably be where you would normally think, I don't know, Agatha or other Disney Plus related shows are going to be. Well, you're half right. And speaking of using Cable from earlier, I'm going to bring another guy in here. Yeah, X-Men 97. What's there to say about that show that I already talked about in the shorts? I think it was the only TV show I've done just watched 60-second shorts for when they were new at the time because it was that engaging. My only concerns is the Bo DeMeo situation. I'm very much aware now what has been going on. I'll try to leave the news down below. I am not 100% if any of his stuff from season 2 is going to get credited. And that'll be the end of their side of the whole thing. But outside of that, the show itself is amazing. Episode 5, remember, it was a very good, authentic, accurate depiction of what was going on with Genosha in the comics, bringing the Wild Sentinel, and a lot of big swings of bringing stuff from the 2000s era of the comics into what is essentially their mid-90s in series for the show. Blended a lot better than it looked, and I think I tried mentioning this too when I was doing my full season 1 proper review of 97, is that essentially they were doing the same thing too. They were like building a bunch of other stuff from like the 80s, the 60s, the 70s eras of like the Claremont years of the comics and other writers at the time, and blending it also with the original 93 series. And it was definitely there. The only thing I think kind of showed its age, and probably will eventually down the road, is the Mojo episode. Understandable. It was like the only episode they could like really spam the nostalgia button on, and it was like hopefully the only time they get to do it. If not, then we'll put up with like once a season kind of thing, once an episode thing. Who knows? So yeah, on to the worst. And this kind of breaks my heart here. Gonna be real with you for the honorable mention. I have none. Other than The Bear season 3 due to the ending. It was here's another reason why I'm gonna mention it here. It's an okay follow-up to their 2 big seasons. I loved all the flashback episodes. I feel like they're the stronger episodes of the season. I doubt they'll get Emmy contention for that alone. I hope they do personally to make up for it. If not, it's completely understandable. Yeah, and that's really it. Again, there's not really much on the honorable mention list. There is a handful of shows I never got around to watching as proper Retrokid reviews, like the Walking Dead spinoff, The Ones Who Remain with Rick and Michonne. Michonne coming back in the series proper after a 6-year absence in Andrew Lincoln's end, and finally cutting off the hand to be canon into the comics and stuff. It was a lot of complicated stuff, and honestly, I'll honorary put it on the honorable mentions as well. The next couple of shows in the worst list, now that we're finally here, is absolutely gonna have one word associated to it: drop off, especially for number 1. So the only one I actually there's 2 shows I finished all the way through that I did reviews for. Well, it's not gonna be number 5. Umbrella Academy season, I believe 4, their final season. Yeah, that's kind of where the drop off kind of began. The nosedive was very much real. Sorry for saying what everyone's already been said. And speaking of controversial stuff and TV producers this year, apparently the producer in Umbrella Academy wanted to just basically ghost direct literally everything and not trust his team since the beginning of the series. And that's a shame because outside of that, the cast did what they could with the material. I will always come to bat for Elliot Page as Victor or whatever role he has next coming up, post his transition, obviously. But outside of that, I really don't know on the cast as a whole. I feel like everyone's gonna character act for the rest of their lives, and for the face off of it all, Colin Feore as their father slash alien, if I remember correctly from the original comics, didn't really get to do much. I don't know, maybe he did more pretentious weirdo stuff, because it's the final season. You're gonna be weird, but I think it was too weird for the sake of weird, not for like the story of it, if anything. And yeah, speaking of also drop-offs, before we get back into normal, micro reviews as a whole, for the worst list, Halo Season 2. Yeah, I'm honestly amazed it was here, and from what I'm told from, I think, Austin Trench of, friend of the show, fame, go to any of his new, voice acting gigs he's got going on for, I think, the Has-Been Hotel, fandom. Apparently it's lined up with the games, but it still has the Master Chief situation. If you know, you know. But yeah, that's why it's at number 4. The top 3, though, were not as contentious as it was till coming up to this week's recording. But Yakuza Like a Dragon, the Amazon series that I did a full review for, it's still disappointing. That's why it's at number 3. I'm still disappointed that there could have been more you could have done. It's too original, too serious for its own good. I think I said this in the full review that they should have at least tried to do 1 or 2 episodes to be like the side quest from the original games, just like get that side of the fandom involved. I don't think it's a waste of casting for I forgot the name of the character. Sorry, name of the actor. Kamen Rider Drive's actor being Kazuma Kiryu in this one. Majima is the only highlight, but there's a small dosage, which made sense in the original series, but I feel like they should have expanded it a little more too. But then it'd be too much into like his time with Yakuza 0. So, as somebody who knows the light amount of work of the lore of the franchise, doesn't really help that a casual like myself can also see through the seams and the problems of it all here as well. Number 2 for the worst, is The Acolyte. Yes, Disney actually has a bad Star Wars that I have to talk about. I'm gonna keep it light because, Red Pill channels are gonna Red Pill channel. So with that being said, it's a poor representation of what they were trying to build with the High Republic lore. It's understandable. I'm gonna apologize for Soul's actor because I don't know your name off the top of my head, but I absolutely will when I get around to doing my season 2 review for Squid Game earlier this year. So hopefully, fingers crossed on that. I hear it's making okay numbers so far. Won't know till probably later in the week after this recording. And the rest of the cast is all over the place. Jackie's actor was obviously Daphne King, and her death might as well have just signaled her being Laura again in Deadpool Wolverine, more or less. But that's kind of it. It's pedestrian, it's still average. The action's sort of still there, but it's also still like 100 years before the original series, so I don't really know much on the lore. Again, Star Wars fans are very fickle and very cowardly of their own opinions and stuff like that. Long story short there. And long story short, I don't know, maybe in a few years there could be things you could defend with Acolyte. I mean, my God, we're on the 25th anniversary as of 2024 going into 2025 of the original Phantom Menace, and they found a way to be, I guess, defendable as time went on. So, might be the same case like any other Star Wars project. And that also being said, speaking of Star Wars, Andor Season 2 better not suck, Disney Plus. Just gonna say that out of the gate. So, on to number 1. I had to scratch off Dexter Original Sin due to the grounds that I'm still currently watching it, and the only reason why it was almost staying on number 1 was mainly because of the pilot episode due to the retcon they did from their ending from New Blood. Now, I scratched it off because I want to try to make this my New Year's resolution of not yelling at the pilots of new shows just yet. First episodes into a second or third season, absolutely, they're in the wheelhouse, they know what they're getting into as a production. That's still fair for criticism on my side of the channel as far as my barometers go. But, going back to I totally noped out after 1 episode, is that Cruel Intentions remake in 2024. Now, you could be confused that there was an attempt in 2016 as a TV special pilot to be a show, also I think on NBC almost now, 7 years back, with Sarah Michelle Gellar coming back also. Same situation here for this remake on Amazon. They did get somebody back from the original movie. Unfortunately, I haven't seen the movie in like literally 15 years. I always saw it as way too pretentious for its own good. Aside from the soundtrack still slaps to this day. It's just, it's still a mess. It's got a bunch of new kids that are probably in between shows that I didn't even watch. So, is this basically my I Know What You Did last summer? I guess write-in entry for the worst of the year. Pretty much. I'll still hate watch the show. I'll probably do a short to wrap up anything I might have missed and compare it to the movie if anything. And also ultimately that's really it. So no previews to what I'm going to be doing for the Steven Seagal Under Siege retro review. I'm going to try to keep that as a next week thing, if anything else. And also, I think this week, also into the new year, there will be probably a Critical Role short finally. I don't know if the campaign 3 is going to be ending or whatever. So we got a lot of lore to catch up on as well. And with that all being said, and a more busier than it looks, 2025 ahead. End cards finally coming up here to the shorts playlist with Gable over here. And other hand here to my previous video, which was obviously the top 5 best and worst movies of the year. And yeah, gear here as always to sub the channel, hit the notification bell down below. And until next time, I'm Retrokid Reviews saying, yeah, pretty busy year for TV and not enough of the worst. You good, 2024? Were you good?